or something that they do day to day, because Cisco is just one of the many things that they do. Whereas when you go for the CCNP, now you're looking at somebody who's a lot more specialized. These are the people that hire on to internet service providers, ISPs, or move into large organizations that have enough of an infrastructure that they say we need 1 or 3 or 10 different full-time people dedicated to Cisco because we're bringing up new offices or setting up constant BGP connection. I mean, these are just people that really specialize in the Cisco realm. So if that's where you want to go, this is your core certification. Now, Cisco has revised this. There was an old CCNP, and I want to explain where that was and explain where it is now, because that helps you see where Cisco has gone with this. The old CCNP became kind of, I don't know, tainted, I guess is the word that I would use. Meaning, as new technologies came out, like voice and security and Wi-Fi, they all just kind of crept into the old CCNP, where the old CCNP started becoming not as specialized in the core routing and switching skills. So it used to be 4 exams, and there used to be kind of a wider spread, but not as deep of a knowledge in a lot of things. So when Cisco revised it, I was so happy when they came out with this. They said, that's it. It's boiled down 3 exams: route, switch, and troubleshooting. To where when you really look at these, you go, okay, these go not as much breadth. As a matter of fact, when they did this revision, I looked at the objectives. I was like, wow, they actually removed some of it, but man, it goes deep to where you really master a lot of the routing and switching topics rather than just kind of glossing over some of the specialized things. And then troubleshoot, T-shoot, man, that's just a plain fun exam. I'll explain that in just a second. So let me talk about the difficulty of these exams. These exams, if I were to rate them on a scale, let me grab my pen here. If I were to say, okay, 1 is a piece of cake. You can pass this no-brainer. Microsoft. I shouldn't say that. Just kidding. Don't scratch that last comment. Microsoft exams are challenging. So let's say right here, I would say a CCNA is probably about an 8.5 if I were to throw it out there. I don't know where the 0.5 came from, but that's my CCNA, and I explained the CCNA in one of my other explanations that I have. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. I really call that like a weed out exam because it's tough. It really is a thorough, tough exam. It's a good exam. I would say the CCNPs, they probably come in, I would say they come in somewhere between 8.0 and 8.5, which surprises people when I say that. They go, wow, so you're saying they're just as difficult or maybe even a little easier than the CCNA? Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of info. It's a lot of deep information. But, I mean, I would say I would put them on par with the CCNA because the CCNA is so difficult. So Cisco really did a great job with this. Now I say that, so, I mean, you're probably thinking, so what, you rate all Cisco exams that way? No. Cisco really puts time into the exams that a lot of people take. A lot of people take CCNA. A lot of people take CCNP. They're the most popular tracks that Cisco goes after. But when you start getting into some of the, I don't want to call them fringe tracks, I'll say more specialized tracks like wireless or security or voice, some of these other specialized tracks. I have taken exams in there where I would say, yeah, that's about a 6.0. To where it's not that difficult. It's more of a, multiple choice. Did you read the book? Can you remember the facts? Oh, do you remember that SIP is the call control protocol? I mean, things like that, to where it's just kind of rattle off the facts, pass the exam. And the reason some of those exams are that way, and Cisco's revising them too, but it's just because there's not as much demand for them. So Cisco says, well, we're not going to put in a massive effort on development when, again, there's not as many people going after this. Now, as time goes on, of course, they evolve and so on. So blah, blah, blah. I'm explaining why I'm saying this is the difficulty of these exams. Now, the cost of these exams is a little more expensive, and they've gone up. It's funny, I looked just before I started recording this, and I said, is it still? And it is. It's $250 per attempt on these exams. And it made me feel old because I thought, well, I remember when these were like $100 an attempt. I'm like, what happened? And I, for instance, I just registered to take my CCIE renewal next week, and I went to register. I was like, $350. what are these people doing? I mean, the prices of these go up and up and up. Everything used to be back in the day, back in the day, you walked uphill both ways, right? You know, it was $100 for everything. Now it's going up. So it does hurt if you miss these exams. You know, the CCNA exams, the ICD 1 and 2, are $125 an attempt. So you effectively double your exam costs for this. So, you know, you really got to have a little more confidence going at this, because it will have a little more sting if you miss the exam. So the order, a lot of people say, well, what order should I take these in? Doesn't matter, except, meaning you can take route first or switch first. Doesn't matter. Now, you might hear some people say, well, if you have some routing, it helps with the layer 3 switching side of it. Well, yeah, it might help a little bit, but really, Cisco has done a great job about making these exams pure. Meaning, you'll talk about layer 3 switching and, you know, VLAN interfaces, all that kind of stuff in switch, but they don't go into the deep concepts of EIGRP, even though you can use deep EIGRP concepts on a switch, a layer 3 switch, because they reserve those for routes. So honestly, I'm telling you, from I've taken both of these exams a couple times. They are really independent. They really focus on their technology. The only restriction I say is always, always, always save T-Shoot for last. Because T-Shoot pulls from the knowledge of both of these exams, which you will naturally, I will say you will do 70% of your troubleshooting preparation as you study route and switch. And let me talk about T-Shoot. T-Shoot is a very different exam for Cisco. It's one of the first, I would say, quasi-real-world exams that they've come up with. And I will tell you, if you have route and switch and you have some real world experience to go along with it, T-Shoot is just plain fun. I know that's funny to say, but it's, I mean, when you take that exam, there may be like 3 or 4 pure multiple choice questions to start the exam that just get your blood flowing, and then you are fully into simulations. And it's not that you are solving problems. As a matter of fact, you are restricted from even going to global config mode. You are there to diagnose issues and tell the exam engine what exactly those issues are, and then if you did have access, you tell the exam engine what you would do to fix it. Now, yes, it gears those into multiple choice questions, but it's multipath, meaning when you'll have a scenario. You know, they'll have 50 routers, well, not that many, a lot of routers or switches all tied together. It'll have a little network topology, and it'll say, here's your scenario, blah blah blah. Joe can't ping the web server or access web pages. He's very upset. Please resolve this issue. So you'll start the exam. Matter of fact, they actually have an example of the exam engine on Cisco's website, cisco.com/certification. If you want to see what it looks like, that's where to go. They even publish all the topologies, the diagrams that they use before you get to the exam. So really, they help out with this test. But you'll see the topology, and then they'll say, okay, question 1: on which router is this problem located? Now here's the fun part, and I thought I could totally work the exam when I first, find the way to figure it out without actually knowing what the issue was, just by kind of working the question. You totally can, because you say, okay, well, I think the problem is on router 4, and you do that by clicking on all the routers, doing show commands and all that kind of stuff, and seeing where the issue is at. So when you click router 4, it takes you to the next question, and now it's got a whole pool of questions that are related specifically to problems that could happen on router 4. Now, if the problem is not on router 4, then all of these second answers won't line up at all with what the exact problem is. But if you are off in your troubleshooting skills, you might think that they line up. So you might choose this, and then based on the answer to that question, you get a whole nother kind of multi-path sort of